So today we are going to be talking about while loops, and this is what the agenda looks like. First, we will start off with the components of while loop, and then we will talk about what the while loop is. And since the while loop is actually really similar to the for loop, we will do a little bit of comparison, and then I will demo how to use it like we always do. And then instead of make your own game kind of activity today, I will give you the requirements for a game and you guys will actually create the game. So let's talk about the components for a while loop. You might notice that a while loop looks really similar to how a for loop looks like. So we have the initialization right here, while, and then parentheses, open parentheses, the condition, and close parentheses. And then we have the open brackets, that's the start of what is to be executed. And then in here is the block of code to be executed. It can be anything, again, it can be system.out.println, or it can be like defining a variable. It can basically anything you want it to be. And then of course, after you've typed out everything you want the code to be, here is the close brackets. That's the end of the, why did I say for loop? Sorry about that typo. All right, that's the end of the while loop, and or what is to be executed, the code to be executed. Now, a very similar format we've seen, right? Like for loop, while loop, if, else, it all looks kind of similar, right? So what is while loop? So similar to a for loop, a while loop is something that you use when you want to do an action repeatedly, like when you want to print out a line repeatedly, or when you want to, change a variable repeatedly. Now, the thing that's different about while loop is that you notice that while for loops have the defining variable, the condition, and the iteration all within the parentheses, the while loop only has the condition within the parentheses. The defining the variable is outside of the brackets, like in a line that's earlier line, and the iteration, the change, the quote-unquote change in variable is actually inside the brackets, but outside of the little square parentheses. So that's one of the main differences between while loop and for loop is the format. Now there are, again, lots of other differences. For example, while loop is used when you don't know how many times you have to repeat the action. For example, let's say I have a list. I don't know how long the list is, but I want to count how many items are on the list. So I use a while loop to count that because I don't know how long the list is. Now, if I know how long the list is and I want to, maybe add something to each item on the list, I use a for loop because I know how long the list is. Let's say the list is 10 items long, so I can just set it to like I smaller than or less than or equal to 10 because I know how long the list is. While for while loops, we use it on things that we don't know how big or how long or how small it is. We don't know the size. Again, another difference is the format. The format for while loops, initialization outside, condition the parentheses, and iteration, which is the change variable in the loop. Now, it's very important that you always have something that changes the variable. If it doesn't change the variable, or if you have a condition that's never going to be reached, the computer won't know what to do. It will just continuously run. Or some IDEs, some more advanced IDEs will notice this error and be like, are you sure you want this program to be running infinitely? But most of the time, like the computer won't notice and it will keep running because it's not an error. It just goes on, like keeps doing this action repeatedly and will run infinitely. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, or you don't understand how this error works, I will demo for you guys shortly. So don't worry about that. Now, the for loop, you use it when you know how many times you have to repeat the action. And again, the format is initialization, condition, iteration, all in the parentheses, and it's separated by semicolons. the class was 2 days ago, so perhaps you remember some, perhaps you don't remember a lot, but I will type it out in Replit and you guys can see. I will demo for you guys, and then after I demo, we can get started on the activity. You can follow along if you want to, but you don't really have to. Now remember, a for loop looks like this. I first type out for, and then the parentheses, initialize the integer, which usually starts at 0, semicolon, I is smaller than or equal to, let's say 10, or let's say 9, and then I plus plus. So remember, this is the initialization. We define the variable and we tell the computer that this is an int. Remember, we always have to tell the computer what type of variable it is. And then we have the condition. This is the condition where the computer will know to stop. Once this condition becomes false, the computer will like, okay, this is not true anymore. I will stop running the program and move on to the next line. And then this is the change. The change in the I variable each time the computer runs through. Let's say I want to print a increasing value. And then, however, on the other hand, so this is a for loop, and we can run it. Let's just do it as a little overview. Why is my computer so slow? You know what? If it keeps being so slow, well, okay, that's good. So it printed out everything. The while loop, on the other hand, is for when you don't know how many times. So for example, I would just be using scanner as an example. So maybe scanner equals scanner system dot. Remember, Java is case sensitive, so you always have to capitalize. For example, if I comment this out, and remember, for while loops, you initialize the int outside of the loop. I think this should work. Am I missing a semicolon somewhere? I hope not. Scanner, new scanner, my bad. Okay, this should work. Let's say 5. So it prints out I 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 times. It prints out I 5 times. So that's how you use while. Do you guys understand how while goes? Or I'll just go through it all over again. So we first defined the scanner, and then we printed out this line, and then we defined a condition as the integer that I input into the computer. Now we initialize int I equals 0. And while this condition is true, so the first time it runs, I equals 0, and 0 is smaller than 5, which is the integer I inputted. So it prints out I, and then I plus plus. So second time, I turned into 1 because I plus plus 0 turns into 1, right? And then 1 is still smaller than 5. So it prints out I again. And it keeps doing this. And it keeps doing this. And it keeps doing this until the fifth time, where I is equal to 4. And then 4 is, of course, smaller than 5, so it prints out I again. And then the sixth time, I is now equal to 5. So 5 is not smaller than 5. This is not true. And since it's not true, nothing prints out. Okay. So this is basically the logic behind a while loop that repeats. And you can see it's very similar to what we did last class for the for loop. Now, what do you guys think will happen if I delete this and click run? What do you guys think will happen? You can put your answers in. What?
Nothing.
You think nothing will be printed out? Does anybody have an answer that's different from William? Does anybody think something else? Maybe the program will run infinitely, or maybe the program will throw an error, or what do you think the computer will do if I click run right now? No, nothing? Okay. Well, let's click run and let's find out. All right, so let's click stop now. So basically, this is what happens. This is what happens when you don't have a iteration or like a quote unquote change in the variable. It basically runs on forever. So you see it prints out zeros, continuously to print out 0 until the end of time. Basically, it prints out 0 for infinitely amount of times. And the computer doesn't throw an error, it doesn't crash, it doesn't like tell you to stop, because the computer sees nothing wrong with this. And the reason the computer sees nothing wrong with this is because that, in fact, there is nothing wrong with this. Your command, the computer understands your command perfectly. So the computer sees nothing wrong with this. William, do you have a question?
Yes. So you can use this to create an infinite loop, and when you want to like get out of it, so there's a function in Python called break, and it exits any loop, all the loops, and goes on to the next piece of code not in the loop. And that's for Python. So for this, you can make an infinite loop, right?
Yeah, so you can make an infinite loop, and Java has something that's similar to break as well. So it's like the break you talk about in Python, Java has a break as well. It breaks out of any loop. But if your purpose is to make a infinite loop, you probably don't want the break statement. Although I don't know why anybody would want to make.
No, so you put a game inside of an infinite while loop, and then at the end you do system.out.println do you want to quit y/n, and then if actually no, and then scan dot next line parentheses, and then you can do if scanner result equals y, then break.
That's a good idea. Do you want to try that out with the class?
Maybe.
So what you were saying is that you have a infinite while loop, and at the end of each while loop, you ask if the player wants to break, and if the player says yes, that they do want to break, you break out. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's try to make that together. So, instead of that, do you want to break? And if we change this, this to string, answer equals, define that, answer equals scan dot next line. And if answer dot equals yes, yes. Well, wait, no. Let's try that. That should work. Wait. String dot equals. Is that string dot equals or answer dot equals? Wait, 1 second. Let me check something. No, this is right. I was being paranoid. Wow, this is really slow. William, is this what you were thinking?
No, I was maybe try while answer space exclamation point equals space, and then you put no in quotation marks.
What were you saying? Okay.
You can't really compare strings with equal signs in Java.
Yeah. So this thing, is this string considered a primitive in Java? Wait. Anyways. So string. This thing where you compare strings is actually like like string 1 dot equals string 2, something like that. Oops. So that's how you compare strings. But if you want like an infinite loop,
Okay.
if you want an infinite loop, you would have to. Why is it not running? If you want an infinite loop, you can do something like Jim said. You can do something like this.
Teacher.
Yeah.
So you said while answer equals no. So every time you put in no, it'll keep running.
Oh, that's right. That's what it is. Answer. Should this work? Yeah, so basically that's how the infinite loop works. If you want something else, if you want to have it as like a completely infinite loop, you can do like true.
Oh.
You can do that, or basically any condition that's true, or you can do like, oops. I should have commented that out. Wait, let me stop that. Well, let me comment that out. So while true, so while whatever's inside the while loop is true, basically it continues to run for infinite amount of time. Answer cannot find symbol. Oh, this one right here. But if we say it like this, 1 second. Where is it? right here. Yes, this one. So if answer dot equals yes, I think break only breaks you out of that current loop. So I think we have to do something like system.exit. Do you know system.exit?
I don't really know much Java though, but maybe that works.
Yeah, so the thing with break is that it will break you out of the loop. If I instead of system.exit, if I have break here, this will only break me out of for loop. I would still be in the while loop. Do you understand? Because the for loop is inside the while loop. But with system.exit, it takes you out of the entire program. Like the entire program terminates. Like, do you understand?
Yeah.
Like we can run it with system.exit first. So like while true. Wait, no arguments.
What's that mean?
That's weird. Wait, do I have to put a 0 in there? I forgot if I needed to put a 0 in there because I haven't used it in quite a while.
Ask Jim.
Yes, Jim. Oh wait, no, this works. No.
I was gonna say you can also use labeled breaks, because if you label the while loop or label the for loop, you don't have to use system.exit.
I mean, yes, that's another way, but perhaps William, do you want to try it that way?
Wait. So like for integer sure.
Do you want to continue with your question?
No.
Okay. So basically that's how you get like an infinite while loop. You just basically set it to true. And then if I didn't have this, it would go on for all infinity. I think that's everything about while loop. While loop isn't that complicated. It's a lot like for loops, and I mean, if you have any questions about for loops, you can feel free to ask, because I feel like personally for loops are more complicated than while loops. Okay, so the activity that we're going to do for this rest half of the lesson is basically going to be make a guess a number game. And remember, there is no wrong way to code. There is like infinitely many different ways that you can make this game, and you can choose any one way to make it. There's no right answer. Of course, after I will give you guys like 20 minutes, 25 minutes maybe to make it. And let's do 20 minutes. We'll give you guys 20 minutes to make it, and we will and after you guys make it, you can share your answers with the class. And if you need help, I can also reveal like my set of answers, like the way I do it. Of course, my way isn't the only correct way. So basically, here are the requirements for the game. You make your own game, and basically you have a player and the computer. The player guesses a random number that the game has generated between 1 and 10. Of course, you can change it. You can make it more difficult by making it between 1 and 100, or you can change the difficulty and make it more easy by changing the number between 1 and 5. It's up to you. A lot of freedom in this game. And then the player guesses. Now, if the player guessed correct, the player wins. If the player guessed wrong, the player keep guessing until the player guesses correct. And at that point, the player wins. So it's really a game that you keep trying until you win. So I have made a page with all the helpful tools that you might or might not need in this game. And it's been a while. It's been a couple classes since we've gone over these, so I will go over them really quickly right now. So random number, math.random, and math need to be capitalized. Random used to be lowercase. Remember, because Java is case sensitive, so you have to, capitalize math. It returns a random number between 0 and 1. Remember, it's 0 is inclusive, 1 is not inclusive. Normally, it returns a random double, but if you set it to int, it will return a random int. That's how it works. There's random double and random int. And if you want to change the range, you can add numbers, add 10, add 1, add 5 to change the range. Scanner, something that can be used to scan your input and use it to interact with the program. We've been using scanners for some time now, so you guys should be pretty familiar with it. But just in case you guys forgot how to use it, here is everything you need to know about scanners. This is scanning string, scanning int, scanning double, scanning boolean. I did not include scanning character, but basically characters can be scanned as strings, and I don't think you guys will need to scan character for this activity. So I will continue to share my screen throughout the 20 minutes, and it will be between these two slides, but you guys can get started and get started coding. Hi guys, it is now 3:55. I hope you guys have finished your game. If you didn't, that's totally fine. You can keep working. If you want to stay after class, I will stay after class if you need. If you finished and you want to share with the class, please raise your hand or type something in the chat. I would greatly appreciate it. If you don't want to share, that's okay too. I will review one of the ways to do this, and that's totally okay. So this is one of the ways to make the guess a number game. And if we run it, and it actually runs instead of being slow. If we run it, yes, if I do 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Okay, correct answer is 3. So that's basically how it goes. That's the requirement for the game. And let's go over my code real quickly. We don't have a lot of time left. So first thing we want to do is make sure that the game has a random number set up, and the random number is an integer. And the range will be 1 to 10. So if it's 1 to 10, I have to times it by 10. So now the range is 0 to 10, inclusive of 0, not inclusive of 10. If I want it to be inclusive of 10, I have to add 1. So that would be 1 to 10 now. Now, next, I prompt the user to input a number, and the input will be int. Input will be whatever it gets, whatever the user inputs. And while the input is not equal to the random number that it's supposed to be, it keeps asking the user to put in a number. And so for example, for the first one, what's your guess? And then int input equals scan.nextInt. The integer I inputted was 9. So input at this point equals 9. Input equals 9. And then since the random equals 3, 3 does not equal to 9. 3 does not equal to 9. So this condition is true. 3 does not equal to 9. And so while this condition is true, we go in and we prompt the user to put in a number again. Second time I put in 8. So input equals 8. Now input no longer equals 9. 8 is still not equal to 9. 8 is still not equal to 9. Not equal to 9. So it keeps asking the user to input a number, and then I inputted 7. 7 is not equal to 9. And then I inputted 6. 6 is not equal to 9. And so on and so forth until I inputted 3. Wait, correct answer is 3. Why did I say 9? The correct answer is 3, so on and so forth until I inputted 3. So 3 does not equal to 3. Is that a true statement? No, that's a false statement. So since this is a false statement, we exit out of while loop, and we come to this line. So we came to this line, correct, you win, and then the program ends. So that's basically how this would go. There are different ways to do it. Like if you used a I think you kind of have to use scanner and while for this, but there are different combinations. Like if you ask the user to input an integer after you tell them before you tell them the range or something like that, you can always add your own twist to this game. We have 1 minute left. If you don't have any questions, I will let you. Oh, it's 4 o'clock now. So class is officially over. If you don't have any questions, you can go. Make sure to say bye or leave something in the chat. Okay, bye.